My beloved child, listen with every part of your being, because this is not a casual invitation, but an alarm sounding deep within the walls of your heart, and it cannot be postponed or brushed aside like an ordinary thought passing through your mind. It is the living call of the one who shaped you before you were seen by anyone, and now the hour has struck when hesitation will cost you treasures that were placed in your path for this very season. So you must rise and pay attention before the unseen doors begin to close and opportunities you assumed would always be waiting slip like sand through your open fingers. This is not said to frighten you, but to awaken you, because the weight of eternity is leaning into your present moment, and my spirit is pressing closer and closer, breathing urgency into your soul until you feel the vibration of my heartbeat inside your chest calling, calling, calling for response. For the moment to delay has already expired, and every tick of time now becomes a hinge upon which your destiny swings. And if you allow it to swing without your decision, the direction will be chosen by others, by circumstances, by distractions, by enemies who have no right to write your story yet are eager to scribble their own lines upon it if you stay silent. So stand up inside yourself. Shake off the dust of postponement. Throw off the garments of later and not yet, because you have reached the minute when everything changes if you will only lift your eyes and meet mine. For I have stretched my hands toward you not with empty ritual but with living fire, with the fierce love of a father and the determination of a king who refuses to watch you walk off a cliff unaware. Hear this as if the ground beneath you trembled, because the danger of delay is invisible but very real, and each small ignoring of my whisper becomes a rope around your ankles while you sleep, tightening slowly until the day you try to run and cannot move. Yet right now those ropes can burn away like flax if you just say yes to me, if you just turn your gaze and acknowledge my nearness. For I am not speaking from some far-off cloud, but from the air you are breathing, from the space you inhabit, from the pulse of life within your body. And I am declaring to you with thunder and tenderness mixed together, no more delay, no more waiting, no more pushing this off into another hour, because the hour has already arrived. The window is open, but it will not stay open forever, and the movement of heaven that has been assigned to your name is standing still waiting for your agreement. Feel how serious this is, yet also how full of hope it is, because I am not casting you away. I am drawing you in. I am lifting you from the edge of exhaustion and confusion into a place where clarity, safety, and direction will flood like light through a cracked door. But you must push the door all the way now, not tomorrow, not when it is convenient, but now, for the very moment your heart bows, the very breath you exhale in surrender, will release waves of help you cannot imagine, angels moving, chains snapping, burdens lifting, peace arriving, strength returning, courage blooming, and a brand new chapter unfolding like a sunrise that does not creep but bursts across the horizon. And this is why I speak so fiercely, why my words pound like drums and echo like a trumpet in a quiet room, because I love you too much to whisper softly while you drift into danger. And I have appointed this very instant as your wake-up call, so lift your eyes, open your hands, and decide within yourself that you will not postpone, you will not ignore, you will not assume there is still time, but you will act, you will respond, you will yield, you will step into the flow of my purpose, because the difference between collapse and victory is often only one moment of attention, and that moment is now, right now, this breath, this heartbeat, this sentence you are reading. And as you absorb these words, let the urgency wrap around you not as fear but as fuel, because it is the spark that ignites the rescue prepared for you before you even knew you needed it. Child, my voice has been echoing across your days like a steady drumbeat, sometimes loud enough to shake you, sometimes quiet enough to stir you in the night. And though you have heard me again and again, you must recognize that this moment carries a different weight, a gravity unlike the earlier whispers. For now my call arrives not as suggestion but as command, not as background but as the very center of your path. And if you ignore it yet again, the momentum of delay will pull you further from the rescue I am pressing upon you. I have spoken through circumstances, through people, through silence, through storms, through victories, through unexpected interruptions, and all of them were markers guiding you closer, yet your heart often treated them as coincidences or dismissed them as passing winds. But I am here to tell you that none of those signals were random. Every one was designed to prepare you for this hour. And now I stand before you more directly, more urgently, declaring that you cannot afford to keep brushing aside the divine reminders that keep colliding with your steps, because each reminder is a rope pulling you upward from waters that are rising unseen beneath your feet. I have been patient, long-suffering, waiting while you wandered, watching as you allowed lesser things to consume your focus. But patience was never meant to be mistaken for absence, and mercy was never meant to be confused with indifference. No, my mercy has shielded you even while you delayed, but mercy in this hour is also fire that burns away your excuses. For the heavens themselves lean in to see if you will awaken to the seriousness of my call. Realize this, beloved. Your hesitation is not neutral ground. It is ground stolen by forces that despise your destiny, and they clap their hands each time you turn away. But I will not allow their clapping to define your future if you respond right now, for I am drawing a line between what was tolerated before and what must be answered immediately. And on this line I stand, calling you to cross into obedience without delay. See how every hour of postponement has only deepened your weariness, left you emptier than before, left you searching in shadows for satisfaction that never comes. But today I stretch out words that can become a ladder, lifting you into new strength if you will climb them with surrender. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but in this very second, because my spirit is stirring like fire in your bones, demanding a response that cannot be postponed without consequences you cannot endure. Remember, I am not asking you to invent your own rescue. I am offering you deliverance already prepared. But the key lies in your attention, in your willingness to stop ignoring, to stop pushing this off, to stop hardening your heart with the lie that there will always be another chance. For no one can guarantee that another chance will come, and I am pressing on your soul with a seriousness you have rarely felt before, because heaven's assignments over your life are waiting like soldiers at the edge of the battlefield, motionless until you say yes, and your yes unleashes the entire army on your behalf. This is why I will not let you rest until you hear me, why the thoughts keep circling back to me, why the uneasiness grows when you try to drown it out, because my voice is relentless, not out of cruelty, but because I know the traps ahead. And if I allowed you to remain comfortable and delay, those traps would devour you before you realize the danger. So I speak, I shout, I press, I stir, I disrupt, I shake, until you awaken, because your life, your purpose, your eternity matter too much to be wasted on endless postponements, my child. Hear this clearly. I am demanding, not suggesting, that you listen, that you respond, that you align with me now, because this weight pressing upon you is not accidental emotion. It is the Spirit of the living God insisting that you awaken, insisting that you choose, insisting that you stop pretending you have infinite time, for time is a gift and that gift is fragile, and while you have it in your hands, I am urging you to pour it out before me, to trust me, to follow me, to allow me to lead you beyond the circle of hesitation into the breakthrough that has been waiting like light behind a closed curtain. All that remains is for you to pull the curtain aside, and that pulling is your attention, your yes, your surrender in this moment, right now. Beloved, as my appeal deepens, you need to recognize that every postponement you allow is not harmless waiting, but a slow erosion of the ground beneath your own feet, a subtle theft of clarity, strength, and direction, and that erosion has already begun carving channels around your life which, if left unchecked, will carry away what I placed there for your good. What feels like harmless hesitation is in fact an active force undermining the foundation you are standing on. And this is why I am speaking now with a sharper edge, because each moment of deferral creates an opening through which confusion flows, and confusion always travels with companions: weariness, cynicism, compromise, distraction, and those companions do not simply visit. They build dwellings inside the spaces where your attention to me has gone silent. Yet I have not left you without a way out, for even as those channels form, I am offering a bridge, a new footing, a higher place from which you can walk without sinking, but that higher place requires a deliberate step out of passivity and into immediate alignment, for you cannot drift your way into safety. You must choose it now. Understand that these warnings are not accusations, but invitations wrapped in urgency, for my desire is not to shame but to shield, not to condemn but to rescue. And every word I speak carries the power to uproot the patterns that have been draining your courage, patterns inherited, patterns learned, patterns disguised as normal, but they all collapse the moment you take me seriously. Do not underestimate how fierce the struggle is for your focus, because your focus is the doorway through which either darkness or light will flow, and every second you give to delay is a second surrendered to shadows that want to rewrite your identity and redirect your journey. I am confronting that process now with blazing love, calling you to stand up inside yourself, calling you to snap out of the trance of postponement and seize the now that I have put before you. This is not about becoming perfect overnight. It is about ending the cycle of shrugging off my urgings as optional background noise, because those urgings are lifelines thrown to you from the deck of a rescue ship in a rising storm, and a lifeline cannot help if it remains untouched. You may think you are waiting for a clearer sign, a louder confirmation, a more dramatic moment, but I tell you the clearer sign is this very breath, this very heartbeat, this very sentence, because nothing could be clearer than the fire you feel pressing against your chest as you read these words. This is my spirit, not your imagination, and it is igniting a decision that will shatter the slow theft of delay. And when you decide, even before you see anything outward change, forces you cannot see will already have shifted, storms will already have begun to break apart, assignments of confusion will already have been canceled, because my word spoken and received is not passive. It is active. It is life and light and force moving on your behalf. So I urge you, while the window is open, to step through it now, not when it feels safer, not when you have gathered more proof, but now, because the longer you stand at the threshold, the heavier your feet will feel, the louder the voices of doubt will grow, and the more the opening will seem to shrink. Though in reality my mercy remains, but mercy extended without response eventually becomes judgment by default, not because I desire it, but because neutrality is impossible in the war for your destiny. Therefore treat this paragraph not as a speech to admire, but as a lifeline to grasp. For your grasp releases the power already prepared to lift you from erosion into solid rock, from drift into direction, from confusion into clarity, and everything depends on your attention in this instant, because your attention is the gateway to your transformation. And transformation waits for no one. It begins the moment you refuse to delay. Now, as this summons intensifies, grasp how the hour before you is not merely another slice of the calendar, but a turning point in the unseen story being written over your life. The weight of this moment bends reality toward a crossroads where one path carries fresh authority, provision, and clarity, while the other drifts deeper into entanglements you cannot yet see. And this is why my call arrives not like a gentle breeze, but like a rising tide pressing at your ankles, urging you to move before it swallows the sand beneath you. Every instant you stand unmoved at this junction adds thickness to a veil that dulls your discernment. Yet each act of response tears that veil, letting streams of light pour over your decisions and illuminate choices you did not even realize existed. I am revealing this not to crush you, but to anchor you, for my heart is to draw you into a decisive act of courage that lifts you out of passive drifting into active partnership with the designs prepared for you. The clock you feel ticking inside your chest is not a threat, but a signal. It marks the release of assignments already gathered like runners at a starting line, muscles tensed, waiting for the gun. Your surrender, your yes, your focus, these are the sound of the gun that sets everything in motion. Without that sound, the runners remain frozen. With it, they explode into movement, carrying resources, breakthroughs, interventions that will overtake you like a rushing river once you have stepped off the bank. This is why my words feel heavier than before. They are impregnated with movement, charged with immediacy, pregnant with results that cannot arrive while you linger at the threshold. Look around you and notice how distractions multiply exactly when you edge toward decision messages, memories, worries, small crises, because the adversary knows that scattering your focus is the cheapest way to rob you of destiny. But you are not powerless. You can tear through the fog simply by turning fully toward me, blocking the noise, anchoring your gaze, letting my nearness outweigh every flickering image vying for your attention. Do not underestimate what happens when you do this. In the unseen realm, chains that seemed welded snap like twigs. Doors labeled impossible swing open without hinges, relationships shift, provision appears, courage floods. All this is triggered not by frantic effort, but by an undivided look at me in the moment I summon you. That look cannot be postponed, because each postponed look thickens the film over your eyes, and thickened film leads to blindness disguised as normal living. My spirit is scraping away that film right now. Feel it, the stirring, the unease, the holy restlessness. It is not condemnation. It is awakening. It is the hand of the potter pressing on clay before it hardens past reshaping. If you stiffen, the vessel cracks. If you yield, the vessel becomes something of breathtaking beauty. I am telling you this while there is still softness, still pliability, still time to be shaped without breaking. That time is this heartbeat. So step away from indecision's edge. Plant your feet where my voice has led you. Speak your agreement out loud if you must. Break the spell of delay with one act of focus, one word of surrender, one moment of undistracted attention. The moment you do, you will feel the ground shift beneath you, not as collapse but as lift, as though a platform rose under your feet, carrying you above the flood of confusion that once threatened to sweep you away. This is the secret power hidden inside my urgent call. It is not merely warning, it is transport. It lifts. It moves. It sets you on heights you could not reach by yourself. But it cannot do so while you linger. The transport waits for your step. Step now. Step while the door is open. Step while your heart is soft. Step while the wind of my spirit is at your back. Step, and watch everything change. And as you stand upon that rising platform I place beneath your feet, recognize how the things you once ignored, the nudges you brushed aside, have now become like towering obstacles, casting long shadows over your journey. And those shadows are not harmless, they are heavy with delay, filled with stolen strength, and they grow taller the longer you hesitate. What once felt like small detours have swelled into walls that block your view of where I am leading you. But hear me now. Those walls do not have the final word. I am ready to dismantle them before your eyes, yet I will not tear them down without your agreement, because I created you with authority, not as a puppet. Your choice is the spark that ignites my intervention. Picture this. You are standing at a valley's edge where cliffs loom on every side, and each cliff was formed by postponements of the past, by conversations avoided, by truths resisted, by obedience delayed. And still I tell you, even if those cliffs feel immovable, one breath of my command can reduce them to dust. But that command is released when you turn your ear fully toward me and stop treating my summons as optional background noise. This is why I press with such intensity, because if you walk forward blind to these looming structures, they will cage you in until the only view you have left is stone. I do not want you trapped in stone, child. I want you moving freely through open spaces where air is clear and horizons are wide. And that freedom waits just on the other side of your yielded attention. Do not let the lies of delay convince you that those barriers are permanent, for they are illusions of permanence built from fragments of neglected moments, and I am the God who rebuilds from fragments. Even now my spirit is stirring, chiseling at those walls, but the hammer strikes harder when you say yes. You feel that pressure building inside you. That is not guilt. It is the pulse of deliverance pressing against your resistance. It is the urgency of heaven colliding with the patterns of earth, demanding a shift. If you lean in, those shadows break. If you continue turning away, the shadows thicken. You cannot afford thicker shadows, for thicker shadows become prisons. So I say with all the weight of eternity, turn your head, fix your gaze, surrender this instant, and watch me carve a highway through the cliffs that tower around you. I will not simply remove the obstacles, I will use the rubble as stepping stones beneath your feet. What the enemy meant as walls, I will transform into pathways. What looked like endings will become beginnings. But this transformation hinges on your decision now. Understand, beloved, this is not about punishment for delay, but about rescue from consequences that delay inevitably births. You are loved too fiercely for me to watch you keep circling the same mountains of hesitation. That cycle ends when you answer. So let your answer rise, not tomorrow, not later, but now. Speak it from your lips if you must. Whisper it in your heart if words fail. Just decide. Decide, and the cliffs fall. Decide, and the shadows scatter. Decide, and the path ahead opens wide as though the dawn split the night in an instant. I am waiting with arms stretched wide to lead you forward, but the forward motion cannot begin until you break free of the chains of postponement. Do not stand paralyzed another moment. Your yes is the hammer. Your yes is the key. Your yes is the shout that shakes the mountains. And once it leaves your spirit, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand in its way. See now, beloved, as the rubble of old barriers begins to shift beneath your feet, you are standing in a moment of decision where the unseen power of heaven is already leaning forward, waiting to release what has been stored up for you. And yet it does not pour itself out upon distraction or half-hearted glances. It pours only when it finds an undivided gaze. This is why I am drawing you closer with stronger urgency than you have ever felt before. The season you have entered is not one of casual auctions but of decisive alignment, and decisive alignment brings a release of help you cannot engineer by your own cleverness. You have been standing on the edge of a locked gate without realizing the gate is voice-activated. It opens to focus surrender, not to delay. Each moment of postponement acts like a code entered wrongly, resetting the sequence, while each instant of full attention is like the correct key pressed at exactly the right time. Right now the correct sequence glows before you. Hear, trust, move. When you do, the mechanisms of provision, protection, and positioning swing into motion, and what once looked like an impenetrable barrier becomes a threshold. A threshold is under your feet at this very breath. Feel how the air shifts when you consider obedience without postponement. That shift is not imagination. It is the response of the unseen world to your internal decision. Forces of darkness scatter when a child of light chooses without hesitation. Forces of light accelerate when that same child acts. This is why you cannot afford to keep one foot in the old posture and one foot in the new. A divided stance locks you in place, but a wholehearted turn propels you. I am not describing theory. I am describing the spiritual physics of breakthrough. Everything in your surroundings has been moving to bring you to this crossroads. Even the interruptions you resented were rearranged to point you here. You were never abandoned in the detours. You were being shepherded toward this moment. Now the shepherd calls for a step that only you can take. I cannot take it for you because I created you with dignity. Your dignity is your ability to choose. My glory is my ability to transform the world around you once you choose. The choice and the transformation are designed to meet at the same instant. That instant is now. Do not look back over your shoulder calculating how many times you ignored me before. Do not freeze with shame over missed opportunities. The very reason I am speaking is because redemption stands ready to overtake your mistakes, but redemption needs your cooperation. Every heartbeat you give to me is a door opening wider. Every glance at me is a hammer striking chains you didn't even know were there. And once those chains snap, momentum takes over and carries you into places you only dreamed of. This is why my tone feels weighty, not because I want to burden you, but because I want to shift you from the ground of passivity to the current of destiny. Let the current take you. Step into it. Allow the pull of my spirit to sweep you away from hesitation, away from scattered focus, into the single stream of my will. That stream is already rushing. It waits only for your decision to step off the bank. And as you do, you will discover the stream is not a flood meant to drown you, but a river meant to carry you. A river of assignments, resources, relationships, timing, all converging around your yes. This is what I have been holding back for you, child, until the moment your attention became undivided. That moment is this one. Beloved, do not deceive yourself with comfortable rationalizations, because every excuse you craft in your mind may feel like protection in the moment, but is in truth a cord winding tighter around your spirit, draining your resolve, and dimming your perception until what once seemed urgent begins to look optional. Excuses whisper, later will be better, or you are not ready. Yet those whispers are subtle prisons, soothing lies that numb you while secretly stealing time. I am exposing those lies because I cannot allow you to walk bound by self-made ropes any longer. You were not created for chains, you were created for movement, for response, for freedom. Each explanation you lean on hardens like cement around your feet, slowing your progress until forward motion feels impossible. That is why I confront those explanations now. before they harden beyond breaking. My words arrive as fire precisely to melt the cement before it sets. If you yield to me, I will turn that fire not into destruction, but into refining, burning away the cords that masquerade as reasonable thoughts. Child, hear me. Your destiny is too valuable to be delayed by the illusion of safety found in procrastination. Look at how excuses have already cost you opportunities, moments you sensed but did not act upon, invitations that passed by because you told yourself there would always be another chance. See clearly, those chances were treasures, and though some are gone, I am mercifully placing new ones before you now, but I will not allow you to keep trading them for hesitation. The urgency pressing upon you is my mercy insisting you not miss what stands at the threshold. Every time you choose excuse over obedience, you empower forces that long to see you stagnant. But the moment you drop the excuses and turn fully toward me, those same forces lose their grip instantly. You think it takes years to undo years, but with me, one act of surrender uproots entire forests of delay. I want you to feel the seriousness of this because your agreement determines whether the prison walls grow taller or collapse into dust. You cannot keep telling yourself that waiting will bring clarity, for clarity is not found in waiting, it is found in obedience. The step creates the sight. A movement reveals the map. Your mind demands proof before action, but my kingdom reveals proof after action. This is why excuses are so dangerous. They keep you locked in endless calculations when the breakthrough requires only one decision. Child, my love for you is not casual, it is fierce. It is relentless, and it will not stop exposing the lies you have leaned on. I am cutting through them now with words sharp enough to sever what you thought unbreakable. Do not resist that cutting. It is surgery meant to heal, not harm. Let the blade of truth fall, and you will discover that what felt like security was in fact a cage. Step out of that cage, and you will breathe air you have not tasted in years, air of freedom, of clarity, of courage. Excuses will try to call you back, but once you feel the strength of real liberty, their voices will sound hollow and weak. I am offering you that liberty now, not later, not in some vague future. Now, you must decide. Will you keep tightening cords around yourself with phrases that soothe but suffocate, or will you cast them aside and let me break you loose? I am here with fire in my eyes, with power in my hands, waiting for your yes. And your yes will not simply release you. It will blaze a trail for those connected to you. For every time you break a chain, you create space for others to walk free behind you. So understand, child, this is not only about you, it is about generations, about influence, about the ripple effect of your obedience. Drop the excuses, and watch the ripple become a wave that shakes everything around you with my glory. You have now reached a place where distractions around you have multiplied like a crowd shouting from every direction, each voice trying to pull your eyes away from the signal that matters. Noise will always rush in at the very moment clarity is nearest. That is why the environment feels more chaotic than before. It is not coincidence, but a tactic. The longer you keep scanning everything else, the more diluted your strength becomes. Focus functions like a lens. When it is clear and pointed, even faint light can set a fire. When scattered, even the brightest flame produces no heat. This moment requires a lens, not a blur. Shut out the voices that promise comfort but deliver nothing. Step away from the glowing distractions in your hands, the endless streams of content that numb you. Set aside the chatter of people who cannot see what is at stake. It is not cruelty to withdraw from noise. It is survival. If you keep letting other signals dominate, the call I am giving you now will fade beneath their static, and you will mistake fading for absence. I am not absent. I am speaking. But my voice must be given space to be heard. Carve out that space now. Turn off what blares. Walk away from what drains. Sit still and let the weight of this summons settle into your chest. Only then will the pattern of your next steps emerge. You have prayed for direction, but direction does not come to scattered attention. It comes to stillness. Stillness is not passivity. It is an active choice to silence lesser noises so that the highest voice can lead. And when you make that choice, what seems tangled will suddenly untangle. The pathway will line up like stones across a river. This is the secret. Clarity is already present. Confusion only masks it. Peel away the mask, and you will discover that the instructions you need have been waiting inside you, placed there by me long before you knew you would need them. Your task now is not to beg for new information, but to strip away what competes. Do this quickly. Every minute spent feeding noise allows its roots to deepen. Roots of noise produce fruit of apathy. Apathy kills destiny quietly. I will not let that happen to you if you obey me here. Withdraw, focus, listen, and act. This fourfold pattern will break the hold of distraction in your life. Withdraw. Create separation from inputs that scatter your mind. Focus. Aim your inner sight on what I have been whispering. Listen. Receive not only words but impressions, nudges, images that confirm my leading. Act. Do not let what you hear sit dormant. Move on it immediately. That immediate movement, even if small, seals the clarity you have received. Without movement, clarity leaks away like water through a sieve. You have asked why insight feels so fleeting. This is the reason. You catch it but do not use it, and so it drains. It stops now. As soon as the next directive rises inside you, act on it at once. Doing so will close the gap through which confusion enters. This is urgent. The stakes are high. There are alignments waiting for you that only unlock when you respond instantly. If you treat them casually, they vanish like mist. But if you treat them as holy, they become stepping stones into an entirely new level of purpose. I am holding these stones in place for you, but I will not hold them forever without your step. Time to step. Time to silence the crowd. Time to act on what you already know instead of waiting for one more sign. The sign is here. The signal is clear. The next move is yours. You are now standing at the edge of a vast opening, a doorway that has been swinging wider with each moment of focus you've given. And yet this opening is not a permanent fixture in the landscape. It is a moving window, a train that is slowing just long enough for you to step aboard before it accelerates again. Opportunity always carries motion. If you do not match its movement, it passes. The gentle period of waiting is ending. The decisive period of entering has begun. I am urging you to move because what lies beyond this opening is not merely a single answer to a single question, but an entire environment prepared for your growth, relationships, assignments, hidden provisions, unimagined strength waiting like a city built long before you knew you would need to live there. The urgency you feel is not panic, it is alignment. Alignment has its own clock. When you sense it, you must move with it. Hesitation in moments of alignment closes doors more quickly than ordinary delay ever could. That is why my tone has sharpened, why your heart races as you read these words. Your inner being knows the train is already at the platform. Step forward. Do not pause to debate whether you deserve to board. This is not about deserving. It is about responding. Everything necessary for this new season has already been purchased for you. Tickets paid, seats reserved, compartments stocked. All that remains is for you to walk through the threshold. But walking requires releasing your grip on the platform. You cannot hold the rail of what is familiar and at the same time grasp the handle of what is waiting. Release is a choice. Make it now. Release the narratives that tell you it's safer to stay put. Release the identity built on postponement. Release the stories of failure that whisper, "You tried before and nothing happened." This time is not that time. This door is not that door. This train is not that train. Everything about this moment is unique, timed to your present readiness and the convergence of events around you. I have orchestrated circumstances so that what once would have crushed you will now shape you. What once felt overwhelming will now lift you. What once looked like loss will now become a resource. But these reversals are activated only when you step forward. If you stand back and analyze until the train departs, you will not only miss the ride but also reinforce the habit of missing. That habit hardens like a callus, making future responses even harder. I am breaking that cycle with these words. Let them break the callus. Let them pierce the numbness. Let them jolt you awake like a trumpet in a silent room. You are not being scolded. You are being invited into acceleration. Acceleration is my mercy for the time lost. Acceleration is how I redeem delay. You cannot manufacture acceleration by yourself. It is a gift. But you can block it through indecision. Do not block it. Step forward now. Take the handle. Cross the gap. Feel the floor of the new compartment beneath your feet. Once inside, momentum will carry you. Once inside, strength you do not possess will take over. Once inside, assignments waiting like sealed envelopes will begin to open one by one. All of this hangs on a simple act, stepping through the open door while it is open. That is what this paragraph is, an outstretched hand pulling you through. Grip it. Step. Move. Now that you are poised in the very doorway I have held open, you must not think that hesitation can continue without consequence, because every pause you make when my summons is clear is itself a choice, and that choice is loud in the unseen realm. You may think silence hides you, but silence speaks. It declares to heaven and to opposing powers where your loyalty rests. And I cannot let you believe that neutrality is safe, for neutrality is already alignment with drift, with erosion, with delay. That is why my voice presses you with such intensity. I am not interested in half-hearted nods or casual acknowledgement. I am looking for decisive response, the kind that shakes the ground of indecision and makes the air around you thrum with the energy of resolve. Do you feel the tension in this very moment? That tension is not random. It is the pull between two kingdoms, one drawing you deeper into apathy, the other urging you into life. The battle is not fought in some far-off space. It is fought inside your willingness to respond. And as you linger, that battle intensifies. I do not say this to frighten you, but to open your eyes, because pretending the battle does not exist does not make it go away. You are in it whether you acknowledge it or not. But here is the truth. The victory is already secured if you answer me now. I have given you a voice to break the stalemate. When you speak, when you decide, the clash ends and the weight shifts. Angels respond to your decision. Assignments are unleashed. Protection closes in around you like a shield. But until you break your silence, all of these remain waiting, like soldiers frozen on a field, unable to advance. That is why your answer matters so deeply. Do not imagine that your delay only affects you. Others connected to you are impacted. Your family, your future, the people you will touch, they all feel the tremors of your hesitation. Your silence is not private. It ripples outward. And likewise, your obedience is not private. It too ripples outward, igniting changes you cannot yet measure. This is why I am urging you with words that feel heavy. They are heavy with responsibility, heavy with potential, heavy with life-shaping power. You have told yourself before that you would respond when the time was right. But the right time is not coming someday. It has arrived. The right time is staring you in the face. It is this very breath, this very heartbeat. If you wait for another, you gamble with what cannot be guaranteed. The train I spoke of has not yet left, but it will not idle forever. The longer you watch without moving, the more your courage drains away, and the more the voices around you will tell you it's too late. I tell you it is not too late, but it will be if you keep choosing silence. So break the silence. Answer me. Not tomorrow, not in an hour, not after you settle your affairs. Now, speak your yes. Let it rise in your chest and leave your lips, and feel the chains of hesitation crack open as you do. There is no formula to it, no ritual. Just surrender, pure and simple. That surrender will echo like thunder in the unseen world. It will announce that your silence is broken, your neutrality is ended, your allegiance is clear. And once that thunder rolls, nothing can stand against the shift it brings. You can feel it now, can't you? The weight of your unspoken response has reached a tipping point. and it can no longer stay hidden inside you. What you have kept locked within your fears, your doubts, your private calculations has been speaking for you louder than any words you could utter. Yet this moment is different. I am calling for your actual voice, your own declaration. The unseen world has been listening to your silence, but now it waits for the sound of your decision. When you open your mouth, you are not just making noise, you are shaping atmosphere. Words are creative forces, not empty air. When you speak yes, you release an order into the environment that dismantles confusion and summons resources you cannot see. Your voice is a gate. Through it either life or delay enters. For too long, the gate has stood still, creaking under the pressure of things trying to come through. Let it open. Speak. Decide. Announce your alignment with what I have been urging inside you. And understand this. Your declaration is not only about your own journey. It is a signal flare for every soul connected to your future. Chains that have held your lineage, patterns that have repeated for generations, expectations that have kept whole groups small, these begin to snap the instant you break your silence. You are not a single isolated person, you are a nexus of influence, and your voice shakes more than your own walls. This is why your hesitation has been so fiercely contested. The adversary knows what will break loose if you speak. I know too, and I am urging you to let it happen now. Do not wait until you feel brave. Courage does not precede the word. The word produces courage. Open your mouth while your knees tremble. Speak the decision while your hands shake. The trembling is a sign that the threshold is real, not that you are weak. Step through it anyway. When you do, you will sense a sudden shift in the room around you, air lighter, space clearer, thoughts sharper, not because something external changed first, but because your voice altered the spiritual climate. This is how quickly alignment works. One sound can undo years of drift. One sentence can ignite a movement. One agreement can cancel cycles of delay. This is why I am pressing you with such urgency. You have been listening long enough, now speak. This is the hour for your sound to rise. It does not need to be eloquent. It does not need to be perfect. It simply needs to be genuine, full, unreserved. The moment the word leaves your lips, the weight will lift from your chest, and waves of help will begin to move toward you as if they were waiting behind a curtain for your signal. Do not underestimate the unseen choreography that has been arranged for this moment. Teams of provision, streams of favor, doors of access, each is positioned like dancers poised to enter on cue. Your voice is the cue. Until it is given, the stage remains empty. Give the cue. Speak. Let the sound of your choice break the silence once and for all. When you do, you will know that the battle for your voice has ended and the season of movement has begun. As the sound of your decision begins to echo, a new tension emerges, not the heaviness of indecision but the tremor of power building under your feet. This is the shift that happens when a life pivots from postponement to alignment. Until now you have mostly been standing still, absorbing what I've spoken, but the moment you give me your clear yes, the atmosphere around you starts rearranging itself with invisible speed. Paths you did not know existed begin to intersect. People you have not yet met start moving in your direction. Opportunities that once slipped past you begin circling back, waiting to be claimed. It will feel almost like the ground itself is moving, but it is not instability. It is acceleration. Think of a dam holding back a river. For years the water collects, pushing against the barrier. At first the pressure is subtle, then it builds until even the smallest crack becomes a channel. When the gate lifts, the release is instant. That is what happens when you finally respond. The stored-up answers rush forward with a force that surprises you. Yet you must be ready to move with the flow instead of resisting it. Acceleration is a gift, but it also requires new posture. Old habits of slowness will not work inside a rapid current. You must keep your eyes fixed, your hands free, your heart steady. Do not clutch the shoreline of what used to be. The current will carry you farther and faster than you planned, and that speed is my mercy redeeming lost time. But it will feel unfamiliar at first. Your mind will want to slow things back to the old pace. Do not obey that impulse. Trust the momentum. I have engineered this moment so that you are not swept into chaos but born into purpose. Each rapid shift you see is actually a piece of my larger pattern locking into place. Look for the pattern, not for comfort. Comfort belongs to yesterday. Clarity belongs to today. If you keep scanning for comfort, you will misread acceleration as threat. Instead, lean into the wind. Let the new rhythm teach you how to move differently. This is what you have prayed for. Not just escape from delay but transformation into a new kind of person who can steward sudden change without collapsing under it. That is what I am shaping in you now. I am not only giving you breakthroughs, I am giving you capacity. The very process of being carried forward by this surge will build inside you muscles of discernment, stamina, and courage that cannot be developed any other way. This is why my words sound like a command and a promise at the same time. They are both. I am commanding you into a future you cannot imagine, and promising you the grace to walk it out. Do not hesitate. Do not apologize for the speed of your ascent. Do not shrink back because others around you do not understand. Many will not see what is happening in the invisible world. They will misinterpret your movement as recklessness. Ignore that. You answer to me. Your obedience is the proof of your connection. Keep moving with the flow. Keep responding when I nudge. Keep trusting when the landscape shifts. Every step you take inside this surge will plant new seeds for seasons to come. The harvest will be larger than the ground you have walked so far. That is why I am pressing you now, because this is the hour when acceleration turns into multiplication, and multiplication cannot begin until you release the old pace entirely. Let it go. Step fully into the river. Lift your face to the wind. Move. What is opening before you now is no longer just a current to carry you, but a wide expanse, a terrain you've never walked, stretching further than your natural sight. It is like stepping from a narrow corridor into an open plain at dawn. The air is clear, the horizon endless, and every direction holds possibility. But only one path leads into the assignment designed for you. This is why I am drawing your attention so intensely right now. The season you have entered will demand discernment at a level you have not needed before. When acceleration begins to slow just enough for you to plant your feet, you must choose direction quickly, not with panic but with precision. Precision is born out of intimacy, not guesswork. Stay close to me as you move across this new ground. Do not rely on maps drawn by people who cannot see what I have prepared. Their maps were useful in the corridor. They will mislead in the plain. Listen instead for the subtle cues I am planting along the way: quiet confirmations, unforced peace, unexpected insight, doors that open without manipulation. These are markers of the correct route. Walk toward them. As you do, you will notice that some of what you carried from the corridor feels heavy now. Lay it down. Baggage that was necessary for survival and confinement becomes a hindrance in open spaces. Release the protective masks, the self-justifying explanations, the defensive postures you built when everything felt cramped. You don't need them here. The openness may feel vulnerable at first, but it is also freedom. Freedom requires you to travel lighter. Trust that what I have not asked you to lay down, I will strengthen you to carry. And know this: as you take each step, unseen support moves alongside you like a hidden escort. You may not feel it, but your obedience has already activated layers of provision and protection far beyond what you can plan. Keep your head lifted. Look for the small flashes of confirmation that appear like glints of metal in grass. These are signs that you are aligned. They will not be dramatic, but they will be consistent. Follow them, and the path will form under your feet even as you walk. Do not stand still waiting for the entire route to appear. It will not. It unfolds step by step because I am training you to trust rather than control. Control belongs to the old corridor. Trust belongs to the open plain. Each act of trust will expand your field of vision. Each expansion will show you more of what I have been preparing while you thought nothing was happening. You will begin to see connections between seemingly random events, a tapestry emerging from threads you didn't know were related. This is not accident. It is design. I have been weaving while you waited. Now you are walking across the fabric I created. Keep wooing. Keep listening. Keep releasing what no longer serves. Keep receiving what appears fresh on the ground each morning like manna. This is how you will navigate the expanse without getting lost. And as you do, others will watch from a distance, puzzled at your direction, unable to understand how you know where to place your feet. Some will criticize, some will question, some will quietly admire. Do not shape your steps by their reactions. Shape them by my cues. You are no longer a wanderer in a corridor, you are a pioneer crossing new territory, blazing a route for those who will follow. Every footprint you leave becomes a landmark for someone else's breakthrough. That is why I speak with such urgency even in this spacious place. Because it is not just about you. Your obedience here sets a pattern that others will be able to trace long after you have passed through. Walk with focus. Walk with courage. Walk with expectancy. The plane is waiting. The markers are ready. The provision is set. The time to cross is now. With every stride across this wide ground, you will begin to sense a tension between the pull of what is familiar behind you and the drawing of what is uncharted ahead. And this tension is not a sign of error, but the proof that you are crossing a threshold no one in your line has crossed before. It feels like standing at the edge of a forest where sunlight breaks through in shifting beams, and you can glimpse a hidden trail but cannot yet see its end. In these moments, old instincts will urge you to retreat, to wait for a clearer view, to camp at the edge rather than enter. Do not retreat. The faint path you see is already enough to step forward. As you press in, the trees will part, and a walkway will emerge under your feet, built by my direction, and not your planning. This is how pioneers move. They go where no fully drawn map exists, guided not by complete sight but by steady signals from within. You are learning to read those signals now. Pay close attention to subtle alignments, a conversation that comes at the right time, a phrase you overhear that confirms what you sensed, a door that swings open without your pushing. These are not coincidences. They are breadcrumbs left to mark your route. Follow them without overthinking. Overthinking is the language of fear. Trust is the language of movement. Let trust speak louder than your calculations. As you do, you will find your steps becoming lighter even though the terrain is new. Lightness is a sign of alignment. Heaviness is a sign of delay. Whenever heaviness creeps in, pause and ask where you have begun to grasp for control rather than follow cues. Release control again and heaviness will lift. This rhythm of listening, stepping, checking, and releasing will become second nature if you practice it now. It is a rhythm that allows you to move through unfamiliar spaces without losing direction. And as you master it, you will begin to feel a new authority rising inside you, not the authority of titles or positions, but the quiet weight of someone who knows how to follow signals from a higher source. Others will sense it even if they cannot name it. They will begin to ask you how you navigate. Your answer will not be a formula but a way of being. Listening deeply, moving promptly, holding things lightly. This is what I am forming in you here at the forest edge. You are not only walking into a new assignment, you are becoming a person whose very presence carries clarity into confused spaces. That is why I keep speaking with such insistence. It is not to exhaust you but to shape you. Each urgent word is like a hammer tapping a new instrument into tune, preparing you to play a melody no one else can play. Soon you will notice that what once drained you no longer touches you. Patterns of distraction that once worked on you will lose their hold. This is the fruit of sustained attention. It builds resilience. Resilience is what will keep you moving when circumstances shift again. For shifts will come. Pioneers face storms as well as sunlight. But storms will no longer derail you because you will have learned the deeper rhythm beneath the weather. You will move forward even when visibility is low because you have learned to feel the path under your feet. This is what I am giving you now. Do not stop at the edge. Step into the trees. Trust the signals. Walk with steady breath. The trail will form as you go. And every step you take here will make it easier for those behind you to follow without fear. That is the unseen legacy you are building even as you cross this threshold. Step now beyond the first stretch of trees and notice how the atmosphere shifts yet again. The canopy overhead thins, shafts of brighter light pour through, and in that brightness you begin to see outlines of structures rising at a distance, foundations already laid, frameworks standing tall like silent sentinels. These are not random sights. They are signals of the territory I have prepared for you to occupy, places of responsibility, influence, and provision waiting for your arrival. Up until this point you have been traveling through preparation zones. Now you are approaching areas of actual establishment, where choices take root and begin to form visible fruit. This transition is critical. It is here that many stall because they try to carry a traveler's mindset into a builder's season. But the moment you step onto these foundations, you must shift from simply moving forward to intentionally planting. Planting requires steadiness, attention, and a willingness to shape rather than merely pass through. It will feel strange at first because the tempo you've been in, fast, fluid, exploratory, must now give way to a different rhythm, one that still moves quickly but also presses downward like roots into soil. If you resist this shift, you will feel restless and think you have lost momentum, but you have not lost it. You are simply exchanging motion for depth. Depth is what will secure everything that is about to grow around you. Without depth, rapid expansion collapses under its own weight. That is why my words have changed tone again. They are becoming architectural, instructive, deliberate. Listen carefully. Watch for specific instructions about what to build first, what to leave for later, whom to invite into the work, what tools to use. I will not overwhelm you with all the blueprints at once. I will give them piece by piece as you act. Each step of obedience will reveal the next piece of the design. As you lay each piece, unseen support beams will lock into place, anchoring your efforts against future storms. You may not even notice them at first, but you will feel a growing stability under your feet. That stability is my confirmation. It will be like learning to breathe differently, slower, deeper, more intentional, because you are no longer sprinting, you are shaping. And as you shape, the territory itself will begin to respond. People will arrive who resonate with the work you're doing, drawn not by advertisement but by alignment. Resources will show up at the right moment without manipulation. Doors will open that were never on your list. All of this is the fruit of planting in the right soil at the right time. But remember this, just as there were distractions at the edge of the forest, there will be temptations at the edge of the building site, temptations to overextend, to compromise design for speed, to invite wrong voices into the foundation. Guard against these by staying in the rhythm of listening and acting one step at a time. Let me set the pace. Let me show you which stones go where. Let me decide who stands beside you as you build. This is not about control. It is about protection. Foundations built with care now will hold weight you cannot imagine later. You are not merely constructing for yourself, you are constructing for those who will stand on what you build. Every brick you place becomes a floor for someone else's future. This is why I speak with such urgency even as you enter this more grounded phase. Because the work you begin here is not a private project, it is a platform for generations. Build it with attention. Build it with trust. Build it with me. As the first stones of the structure settle under your hands, you begin to sense an interior shift. What was once only instruction becomes instinct. You no longer have to force yourself to listen. You are living in listening. This is a new stage, a moment when the builder and the blueprint merge. When you move, the design seems to rise around you almost automatically, because your will and mine are flowing in rhythm. This is the place I wanted to bring you to all along, a posture where obedience is no longer a series of isolated decisions, but a continuous motion, like breathing. From this point onward, even your smallest movements have multiplied impact. A whisper of agreement sends tremors through structures of delay. A single act of generosity triggers cascades of provision. A word of courage to someone beside you awakens courage in entire circles you cannot see. You have crossed the line from surviving to shaping, from being pulled to pulling others. This is why your heart has felt so stretched, because I have been enlarging it for this influence. You are stepping into assignments you once only dreamed of, but they will not crush you because the rooting I did in you during the hidden years now holds. Keep that rooting deep. Do not drift into pride as the visibility grows. Keep your ear pressed to my heartbeat. Let humility be the guardrail around your expanding influence. Humility here is not self-diminishing. It is accurate sight seeing that every brick laid, every opening granted, every life touched flows from the source who called you. In this awareness you will walk steady even as the weight increases. You will not stumble because your focus remains anchored. And as you continue, you will see entire patterns around you begin to change. Atmospheres at work, dynamics in your household, internal narratives in your own mind. Where confusion once sat like a fog, clarity will reign. Where hesitation once coiled like a snake, swiftness will run like a river. Where despair once whispered, hope will speak loudly. This is the season of active transformation. It is not only your hands building, it is my power weaving change through every place your foot steps. This is the fulfillment of everything I have been telling you from the beginning of this message, why I pressed you, why I would not let you stay comfortable, why I kept drawing you forward. It was not for small adjustments but for total shift. Now that shift is here. Yard it, nurture it, steward it. Ibwagu, Tibjeping, Kibliznit. Everything you are doing now becomes seed for future harvest, and that harvest will bless far more people than you will ever meet face to face. This is the ripple you were born to create. From the first urgent call you heard, I have been drawing you out of postponement and into immediacy. Each point of this message has been a step, awakening you from delay, cutting off excuses, breaking the power of distraction, teaching you to listen, moving you into acceleration, guiding you across open ground, leading you to plant, and now establishing you as a builder who shapes environments and carries others with you. This is a journey from hesitation to decisive action, from passivity to purposeful influence, from private wrestling to public fruitfulness. You are no longer merely responding, you are partnering. What once felt like relentless urgency was in truth relentless love. A father refusing to let his child settle for less than the full design. The window is still open. The river is still flowing. The structure is rising under your hands. Keep moving forward with trust and courage, for what lies ahead is more than rescue, it is destiny fulfilled. Amen.